Okay. I think this where it says live, it means we're live.
Did Ron even look at that?
This is live.
Oh shit. Sorry, you couldn't hear me.
All right, we're just testing. This is the Kirin Rise Wing Chun University live streaming for the next 2 hours. Everything you want to know on Wing Chun. See if people can get in this link. Is this the right link? Three T S E K. Oh, we got some viewers here.
Video's kind of choppy.
Is the stream screwing with you? Actually, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to do my Shanti size exercise. Dances.
We're going to do this.
Let me see. All right, we're going to start in the next. We're going to start in the next 5 minutes. It's 9:55 here in Chicago. It's not that chilly.
45.
Yeah, it's actually 45. Okay. So how do I see the chat? The chat on one side. So. This where it says. All right, we're just prepping up. And before we begin this event, Robert's going to sing the national anthem in Korean.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
You guys sing it in Korean?
The Korean national anthem or?
Right, you know the Korean national anthem? No. Oh, why are you offering that? Can't even sing that.
That's why there's this invention called the internet.
Does it work? You know how expensive it is to data feed overseas? Where's my chat? I'm trying to find my chat. How do I do this all the time? All right, guys, we're going to start in the next 3 minutes. So if you have questions already, you can start pouring them in. But I'm going to do them in order, so don't have 50 questions. And give people a fair chance to have stream their question one after another. So if you get your question answered, don't have 20 in a row. Don't be like some dude in Tucson who just take all the questions and everyone's just waiting. All right. Anyway, in other events, not that I really follow UFC, but I guess there's a lot of upsets last night. That Holly Holmes chick,
The one that beat Rousey?
yeah, she got choked out, and that McGregor guy lost. Yeah, hey, didn't eat the cake. Back to this audio opinions here. So, can someone post a test chat? I just want to see if this is working.
It's a channel.
I don't know. Doesn't the link have a chat, or it does not? Or is that different?
On Hangouts or?
Is that a different link? Oh shit. Yeah, I wonder if that is different. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Wait a second. Which chat is which? This is confusing me. Is the chat on Hangout?
Where's the link set up through?
Test chat on the YouTube page is on. According to Brown.
I guarantee you on our next event we'll have this ready. Well, this is, you know what this is? This is YouTube's on, this is some kind of beta thing that they're doing. And before, when we started, it would just be a simple, I push a button, everything's there in one thing. And now it goes from one event here to another. So I'm trying to figure out.
There's no live chat on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, we're gonna start. Where is the chat? I'm trying to figure this out. So categories, server URL. What do you say?
You posted 5 minutes before. Can you guys get it? He said that's what she said.
There's a ton of posts on the YouTube chat. Where the hell? Oh, I have to go to YouTube chat. Maybe I'm missing it. Hold on. All right, we're gonna start in 2 seconds. One second, guys. Oh, okay. I see what we're doing. But I don't. It's not kicking into the event. Do you see it? Where's my current chat? I see me, but I don't see any of the chat. Sorry. Trying to clean this up. If I go, oh wait, if I go here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I gotta turn this off. This is live. Oh, okay. Sorry, figured it out. My bad. So how do I do this? All right, we are starting in 3, 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can do it from your phone.
All right.
You can
Okay.
So this the chat. Go to the. Yeah, actually go to the YouTube app.
Oh, I got YouTube.
Yeah.
And where do I go?
Go to the channel.
My videos.
No. Go to the channel.
My channel.
And there should be.
This one?
Because I have.
You have the chats? Is the chats coming down?
Yeah.
All right, we'll use Robert's phone. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. All right. Damn it. Okay. All right. As expected, we're only 3 minutes late. So welcome to the Kirin Rise University. This is the online stream. Where are we going to start? Okay, you know what? Let's start with this. If you have questions, put them on chat. And like I said, when you do this, when you put it on chat, try not to have like 5 in a row. Give people an opportunity. If no one's asking a question, then fine, put another question in. But give people opportunity to ask questions, okay? I guess there's about 17 of you guys right now on there. And we're going to start. First of all, before we start anything, first question. What do you guys got? Let's see. Okay. All right, we're going to start with, who's asking this question? Oh, Raph. First question. Also, I can get awareness of developmental of the joint locks. Okay. All right, first of all, let's dive into that question right away. As we know, everything that we train in Wing Chun, okay, I like to break it down into 2 categories. First of all, there's nothing wrong with knowing the technique. is the beginning of learning, understanding, memorizing, everything that you need to have to digest what the motion is, how to apply it, and so forth. So I kind of call technique kind of like dog training. You know, you feed it you feed it something, it learns how to react. But in the end of it, in the bigger spectrum of what you're trying to develop, you don't want to be, I've always said this before, a slave to the technique. Because you remember, like training a dog, the dog, for example, I give him a treat, he knows how to sit. And thus you're learning how to react to that certain force after the fact, okay? So, but the difference is, in Wing Chun, by the time you can't have a motion and then all of a sudden react to that force. By that time, it's too late. Because in the real situation, you have to look at it from application and development. You remember how I said, fighting, self-defense, totally two different things. Fighting has the time for you to set in place. Okay, I'm gonna get ready, he's gonna get ready. Self-defense situation, it's coming out of the blue. You don't have the time to say, oh, I'm gonna prep up and then get ready. So that, in that sense, the balloon, your structure, everything has to be good to go the moment you touch, okay? So where does this lead into regarding your question about joint locks? Now, we're just adjusting where the phone is. So I want to start it off. I want you guys to look at something first. All right. So obviously, there's every technique in Wing Chun can be used in 4 functions. Okay, you can have an attack, you can have a block, you can have a shana, you can have a joint lock. Okay. Now, for example, if we have a joint lock, right? Like let's say I do this. This is a joint lock. I'm wondering right here. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you this. This motion right here, this joint lock right here that I'm putting on, where is that from? I'm curious if anyone can answer that. This joint lock, I'm grabbing him from the thumb here, and then from here, I'm putting him in the joint lock at this position. Can anyone know what particular technique that is from, where I'm getting that? Okay? If you have, post it on your comments or on the chat right away, and I'm curious to see if you have that. So, for example, why do a joint lock? Okay, the purpose of the joint lock in Wing Chun is I'm not here to basically control him, to break his arm or whatever. The goal always is to get to the target, to get to the center line, okay? But sometimes, let's say for example, his hand is here, and for whatever reason, that line to get to the target is not open. That's when sometimes you apply a shina, sometimes you apply a joint lock, sometimes you have to block before you get to that motion. So in this case, I know it's hard to see from here. Imagine his hand is in the way for me to clear the line. So this joint lock right here, see I apply the joint lock, not to go for so much to break. You can break it at that point, but this opens me up to go for the hip. All right? That's exactly why the joint lock is being applied and is being used. Remember, I don't care if you can't write with your arm. All right? My goal and my purpose in life is to make sure you see God for your stupid mistake. All right, and I'm doing this from 10 to 12 because otherwise I'd have to go to church. I didn't want to leave in this church. All right, so, but here's something I want you to think about, and I know this topic's running long. Notice right here, when I put him in a joint lock, watch this. Look at my center of gravity. Look how I control my center. If I have my center of gravity control, look how I can make him move wherever I want. It's so simple.
You make me move.
Hey, we'll keep this a family environment, okay? Those are kids who do that. But what happens? Counter, how I show you counter. So right here, how come right now when I'm trying to apply it, he can't all of a sudden do the joint lock? See that? Right here. Right there, automatic. It's an automatic response to what you want to happen. You don't want to see something like this. I go like this, he goes with the force and kind of like tries to get me out of his way and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. But if you've ever been put in a joint lock or any kind of hand technique, you don't have that much time. It's like a blink of an eye before that technique's actually applied. So just like here, I'm like here, hey, me, you had too much to drink. Get the hell out of this bar. All right, no, don't go in the manhole. All right, so he's here. I try to apply the joint lock on him. Right here, he can actually freeze the motion and bounce off the technique before it's actually applied. You can do that with anything. Okay? All right? Can you describe exactly the difference with what you feel? When I go like this and you don't have the structure in place, and I go like this, he feels right away. I can control him. If I go full force, he's down on the ground, he's out. What can you describe? What's the difference between the two?
If you just go with it, then you have no other choice but to go in that direction. Otherwise, you just get locked in. The other way, when you respond to it, again, it's like you freeze the motion, and it just feels like he doesn't have any control. You're the one that's in control, and that's essentially what you want. That's everything in art.
Yeah, you want that automatic response. You don't want to be like, oh, all of a sudden I'm here, and then bam, and then you have to apply and react to that technique. By that time, it's too late. Okay.
Is this so with joint locks and even like shanana? Would those be or takedowns? Like, would those be a form of asking hands then? Because you're not actually applying it.
You
for
could
that.
You could make it like an asking hands to make him offer to react off that, but you can actually make it as a full motion as well.
So, like, I mean, if that example you had where you were coming in from the side with a punch.
Yeah, I'm going here.
Yeah, and so that line is blocked, but then you can use it to ask.
Yeah, I can use it to ask, because asking hands, I know we haven't gotten into the subject, is basically you knock on the door and see how the person reacts to that, okay? So basically, if I go from here and all of a sudden I punch, and he reacts by doing this, by blocking it, my next reaction from here, I switch off right away. You switch off, right? See, basically, there is no fakes in Wing Chun, because a fake is a wasted motion. And if you do a wasted motion at that time, and he's gunning to attack, that's why you get hit. Asking hands is a passive way to ask him to react, and once he reacts, I take advantage of it from that point on. All right? All right, let's see, from here. Okay, okay. All right, so I haven't had a chance to see this motion, this joint lock that I'm doing. I want you to guys see that. See this? See this motion? Okay, if you're wondering where that's from, look at this motion. Tanza. Tanza. That's tan. See how I put my hand like this? That's tan. This same motion. Watch, without grabbing him, tan. 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 Tanza motion. All right? I'm not sure if you've ever seen that before. That is the motion of flip. That motion from tan is actually how you apply tan. Okay? All right, next question we have. Okay, how do you know if you have proper tension in your technique? This is from Joseph. Okay, very good question. All right, Robert, open up your stance. Actually face me. Okay, he's gonna open up the stance. Boom, boom. Good, all right. Let's say he puts a bounce out. What is proper tension? Okay, now we said proper tension is what? A combination of not too hard, not too soft, just right. Okay, just the right amount of tension for it to naturally react. If Robert puts his bounce out up here and he has a lot of muscle, okay, he has tons of muscle. Look at that, I push him in like this, see, he bounces off right away. He bounces off right away, okay? If he's too relaxed, and he's too gimpy, right? This will just collapse automatically as well. The proper tension has a natural reaction to it. By the time I touch his force, by the time I touch him here, boom. See how his body actually snaps back? The force goes in, and then the force goes out. It's actually when it happens, it's not 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, bounce back. By the time I step like this, boom, it's automatic. Okay? Now, proper tension means the adjustment also comes about automatically. And in the beginning, when you learn this in Wing Chun, this is extremely difficult to understand. Because when he has, like, say, his bounce out at this position right here, okay, all of a sudden, I put force on him. The natural reaction in the beginning is to do what? You feel the force, and all of a sudden, he's trying to, let's say he tries to work to tuck in and bend the knee and stuff like that. See how he's trying to exaggerate so they can see. See how he's making physical adjustments to the stance? In other words, here, the dog's being given the treat, and basically he tries to react to it. So the same thing like this. I'm giving him a particular force, and now he's making physical adjustments within his stance to deal with that force. The problem with that is what? The problem dealing with that is it is not an automatic response. And don't get me wrong, in the beginning, everyone does this. Everyone does it. They want to, if something feels off, they want to make the adjustment, right? And you do go through that process. You gotta go through that process of feeling what's wrong, what's the right tension, what's the wrong tension, am I at my 0 point, is my stance vertical? All this happens constantly over and over again. But the problem is, if he goes like this, if I give him a particular force, and now he makes a physical adjustment. In other words, he's actively engaging his stance in order to make adjustments. Once he actively engages his stance, he cannot control. He will fall over every single time. That applies to the legs, that applies to the body, that applies to the hand. If you physically actively engage it, as opposed to making it work automatically, that in essence is a technique, right? So for example, we're here, right? I'll give you an example. Robert pushes my arm, and notice, look, I'm trying to adjust my stance and trying to sink into it or try to make sure I'm in the center of gravity. No way. Look, when Robert pushes, right? When Robert pushes, look at my adjustment. My adjustment is automatic. You don't even see it because I'm automatically adjusting every single time. But if you see me going like this, trying to deal with the force, it will not work. Okay? I know, difficult to understand.
If you can't feel it, you don't have a reference to feel it, then I think it's hard.
Yeah, because if you feel, when the force comes in, you feel off. So your automatic response is kind of like, I'm leaning, I gotta regain it again, right? But if your stance is right, see, the balloon is right, that's why you work on it over and over again. If the balloon is correct, when he pushes towards me, I'm already automatically responding. You don't even see me even thinking about it. See, I'm not even responding to this, right? But if you see me go like this, see my stance is getting a little off like that, that's because I'm actively trying to engage it, and that doesn't work, okay? All right, next question. All right, which one are we at? Okay. What is to let's see, what is it to aim at your partner's center? Does it involve pressure towards the center, or is it just an intention? All right. Mike,
That's a good question.
that's a really good question, Mike, because I tell you, it's very difficult to understand what it means to aim at the individual center. One, at some point, or one instance, one, it's from the physical touch, and two, eventually, you don't even worry about that. Okay, and that leap from touch to no touch is a difficult thing to understand. Let's just understand exactly that the path of the target is always to the center line. Okay, so for example, let's see. Okay, let's see from here. I'm touching his hands here. Okay, when he applies the technique. Okay, let's say he applies the technique. And he does this and he bonks up. It looks like if I do bonks up from here, he knocks out and I do bonk. It looks good, like the motion looks good, and all of a sudden I actually block the technique. But in the reality of it, the main thing to do always is first go with the force. And when I go with the force, that in turn basically makes me aim to that individual center. So for example, if he does like, let's say it locks out to me, right here, I go with the force. See, I'm going with the force, but I'm not going with the force with no purpose. I always go with the force to go back to the target. The target is what? Straight here, straight to him. So let's say our hands are here in single sticky hands. He moves my hand out of the way. See, my goal is not just to go with the force. If you go with the force, you have no purpose. If I go with the force, see, he goes with the force and look, I'm aimed back to the target, right here to the center again. He moves me around. See, I go with the force right back to the target again. He moves me around, back to the target again. That is the goal. If he moves me around and then I just go like this, see, I went with the force, but I had no purpose at all. Okay? I have to be making sure that every single time I do my motion, it aims back to that individual's target. Because that's my goal. My goal is not to stop his hands. My goal is to get to the target. Okay? In the beginning, when he let's say he punches, boom, right? It looks like my purpose is to basically block his punch. That in the beginning you need to define, because you need to know stop, you need to know go, and you need to know exactly where it is that I'm aiming at you. Because if you don't define that, he punches towards me, but it looks like pops here, but I'm in here, right? I'm going in past his shoulder. This is no good. So at the beginning of development, when he punches towards me like this, boom, right here, I'm aiming right directly to his center line every single time, not passing over in this direction. I know it's hard to see from this angle, but imagine me aim to his heart, not to his shoulder, not to the side over there, okay? In the development process, I need to have that, okay? Because eventually, when he punches like this, look, I don't even block. I let him go with the force and then I aim to the target right away. Okay? See that? You actually have to have those building block process to eventually get to that goal. In the long run, in the bigger picture of things, there is actually no blocking in Wing Chun. There's never any blocking in Wing Chun. And what does that mean? That means there's never, I may have a solid wall. I develop myself to be a solid wall, but there will never be a time when he feels that solid wall to stop his individual motion. Okay? So in other words, here in the development process, he punches. Boom. Right here, he feels the stop of a motion. Right? There's a stop of a motion. He finds beginning and stop of the motion. But eventually, when he punches towards me, see, this motion still continues. I will never stop that motion. Because if I stop that motion, that's like me stopping his leg here, he can switch angle right away. But I'm gonna let him continue that motion. And the only time I stop that motion, when he does a punch, is when I hit him. That's when the motion stops. It does not stop here at the block. It stops here on the hip. Okay? So I know it's hard to understand. One, you have to learn how to stop, and then eventually there is no stop. But the only stop is actually when I hit him. But these are all building block processes that you have to go to define things eventually to get to the main target. Okay?
So the basic concept of aiming or targeting is basically go with the force to the center.
Go with the force to the center. Always. Otherwise, you have no purpose, and you're not. Otherwise, you're trying to chase hands. If he goes something like this, let's say he punches, and look, my attention is to the hands, but I'm aiming to his hands, and it takes me a split second back to flow back to him. Okay, it takes me a split second to do pot punch. Here, I'm time, right? I do times up. If we do it in slow motion, so I break it down. If I go like here, I'm aiming, chasing his hands this way, right? And then it takes me a split second now to shoot back to him. Okay? But in reality, when he does that, I aim to the target. See, right away. By the time he finishes his attack, he walks into my attack. And by the time he finishes his attack, then only then, when I hit him, can he change to the next motion. Right? But if I stop him beforehand, if I go like this, boom, then he has a second now to react.
Solid ground.
He has solid ground to react. And never do I give that person solid ground, because at that point, he can put in the power.
So why do we develop that though? Why in development do we, when we do, ass and hand drills, we actually stop on the block?
Without stopping, you have no defined structure. Imagine you just go like this all day. There's no 20 single man technique. You won't know what stop and go is for any defined structure.
But then in application, that block essentially doesn't have a defined structure though.
Yeah, but okay. When he pushes towards me, let's say he pushes my hand. When he pushes my hand right now, right, hard to see. As soon as he pushes it, you can see he bounces back off. All right, he bounces right back off. And right there, I have a defined structure from him. Okay? In other words, I know exactly when he bounces off from that point. Right? He bounces off that point, he's pushing off. But when he does that, when he pushes to see how to control it, he still can't put more power in it. See, he's trying to put more power. If I was like this, yeah, then all of a sudden I bounce back off too. But if I just constantly go like this, I won't know how to utilize and neutralize the force. Think about it. Just something as simple as learning to write. If you just go like this all day, you don't have a defined structure to write anything. Okay. Right? You don't know what A is, you don't know what B is. You do the letters of A, B, C, not to learn so much A, B, C. You learn A, B, C, D to learn to control the hand. And if you just go like this all day and scribble,
Well, it's like writing cursive. It's
Yeah.
like connecting each letter. So the thing is,
yes, that's good. That's good, perfect example. Okay, then you understand it? See, there's such a fine balance in everything that we do in Wing Chun. Solid, soft, right? Stop, no stop. There's always a yin yang in everything that we do. And that's what makes Wing Chun so beautiful. So passive, but yet so deadly. So nice, but yet so mean. All right, let's get the next one.
Mike, thank you. Actually, that was a question I had all week, so I received drinks on me.
Okay, let's see. We got some questions here. Is that joint lock from Aikido? No, this Wing Chun joint lock from Kevin. That joint lock you're showing, you can apply anything. Like, what's common? Let's say he's like this. We're lap saw. The lap saw is right down. Boom, from here. That's not from Aikido. What's that? See, lap saw motion from there. From here, I turn the fuk, flip it over. See that? And he grabs here. I use my other hand. I control him here, flips over, and then he goes down. Yes, I will marry you.
It's legal.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. All right. All right. Mike, no, you did not get a gold star. Could you talk? Let's see. Okay, next question. Can you talk about the hammer and nail function? Okay. Over here. I'm gonna ask that question. Oh, right. Leo, the hammer and nail function. Okay. So the nail in itself is the hand technique. See, I'm punching like this. This is the hand and the nail. But yet the nail by itself is not enough, right? The nail needs what? The body as a hammer to punch it in, to support it, okay? So if this base, right, that I have here is wavering around, I have no steady ground, that's like you trying to hit the hammer all over and you'll miss the nail. That's why if I punch, just the arm alone is not enough. This body must support it to develop the punch. I want you to see the difference. Hopefully you can see. Okay, here is basic punch. See, I'm doing basic punch. Nail, push, push, push. Now watch, I emphasize it a little more so you can see. You see how I put the hammer behind the nail? All right. You have three individual structures from the leg to the body and to the arms. Each one has their own function, but at the same time, each one works with each other to enhance the other's function. So the nail has its function to be able to hold and release the power. The hammer behind the body supports it in order for you to push it. And when you do that, then, bam, with that solid base behind it, tons of power. Tons of power. I tell you this, when you get a chance, it's always funny. You always hear comments like, oh, Wing Chun, that's so fast, so many punches. Yeah, you know, this chain punching, ba, 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 ba. And yeah, when you see people do the chain punching and you look at it, it's like, yeah, that's not going to work. Because it's like a basic slaps. But when you see the Wing Chun punch, and I tell you, if you've ever felt Wing Chun punch applied to you, not even without hitting, I tell you, you'll wet your pants. I look at you, no? I don't exaggerate.
Can I ask something?
Go ahead.
Follow up with that? So, what is the timing of the hammer behind the nail?
Just before, just when I do the stretch, that's a good question. When I do the stretch, if the stretch comes back already, too late. When the stretch is right here, pop, that's when I put the hammer, then you get the power involved in it.
But the body has to be controlled, right?
Yeah, the body has to be
because a lot of people, when they look at other arts, they talk about using the body. Like boxing, use the body, right? But the base has to be steady and controlled.
Because when you see me punch, right? This is me. Then you see me go boom. It looks like I turn my body. But if you look at my squareness from here, if I'm square here, even though I change it here, I'm still exactly in the same position. I support it from there. So the timing of that is just right here. When I stretch this motion, if I stretch it, it kicks back, too late. By the time I stretch, bam, that's when I put the body behind it, and you can feel the power, right? So for example, I'm here, right? Robert's in his motion here. And this motion I stretch. See how I stretch? See, I'm exaggerating. You can see I exaggerate the stretch. When I stretch, my power right there, I put behind it. See, if I just do the stretch, see, not so much. See, I'm doing the stretch, right? If I put the stretch, the power, make it move. You see that?
But why does the body, when you talk about, you observe the body, it's not completely fixed. There's actually behind that, at that last second, that slight shift.
No, the slight shift, you're still square. Because let's say you do the punch, right? You do the punch. And then from here, you turn a little to support the hammer behind it. But the hammer, you're not losing the squareness of it like this. If you look at it exactly, the body is still in this motion, perpendicular to this arm here, right here. From that point on, if I go like this and I go square and I lose the squareness of it, you lose the base of it because you feel it. You won't. Here, do a punch, 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 punch. Now, when you punch, put the right before you feel the stretch, put the hammer in. Yeah. Now, yeah. Yeah, like that. Now, do the same punch, overturn it. See? So that same punch, when you push it out, no power is when you have it like that, uncontrolled power. Uncontrolled power. Once you have the uncontrolled power from that, no good. You have to have when you have the power in the hand, the base itself, from the body and the arm, has to be able to support it every single time. Right? If you don't, you see someone, they wind up like this, they have a bolt like this. What happens when there's a target? If it's a target, it helps catch it, right? But even then, the power can kick back and it can't be supported. But if there's no target and he throws it out, it hurts. It kind of hurts when you shoot it out like that. Okay? All right, the next question is from Raph. Cutting edge. Okay, cutting edge. This is something we haven't talked about before. If you look at your hands, okay, think of it as basically as knives, all right? Think of it as blades. So depending on when the force comes into me, how I hold my hand, right, will make the force stick to me. And that's the goal in the end, right? The main goal is no one knows sticky hands. No one knows chisel. No one cares, right? So the moment I touch, regardless of whether you do jiu-jitsu, karate, boxing, Muay Thai, whatever it is, you touch and make you stick to me. And we'll go into a deeper subject on that as well. Okay? We'll go into a deeper subject on that as well. So if you look at the motions right now, okay, let's take a motion. We take tan, right? We take tanda motion. If, for example, hard to see from here. If I hold my blade, my knife, right? If I hold my tan like this, see how my knife is like this, in this position here, and I hold it this way here. All right, so right here, I hold my here. My blade is flat at this position. When he starts to move, see how he slides through, right? See, we pull back again. My blade is flat like this. He starts to push, and he slides right through. But Tanza, if I change this blade position now to this, see how I'm changing it? To this angle, right? From here. I'm from this position here, and I change it to cut this way. By the time he starts moving, he already feels it. Okay? He already runs into it, and the stretch of the skin occurs right away. So in other words, if there's no cut, instead of cutting, see, Tanza is cutting this way. I'm exaggerating it, so you can see it's cutting this way.
Like the thumb going below the pinky.
The thumb's going below the pinky, but this base here is still flat, right? But the angle of the cut is this way, going this way. Okay? So if I'm totally flat like this, right away he punches, he goes through. But if I'm here, flat, and I have my cut in place, by the time he cuts, right there, he already feels it. Now, once he feels that skin stretch, you feel that skin stretch from the cut, right? You'll feel just a portion of it stretch. I feel that when he punches like this, I feel that skin stretch. If he slides off that motion, by the time he slides, I can hit. The slide at that particular time is your hit to say, I can hit him now. Okay? That is a signal for you to hit him. Now, when you have the cutting edge, without this cut, you end up basically, he slides in, you have no control. The cutting edge, basically, think of it this way, is the ability for you to hold the shield in the proper direction, so once the force kicks in, it bounces back off that individual. Okay? So for example, it's bounce us here, right? So where is the source of power? The source of power starts from the leg to the body and then goes up to the arm. Okay? And so it goes from 3 points. 1, 2, 3. So if I just from here, all of a sudden, I aim my hand towards him, and I just want, he pushes towards me, and I'm pushing right back, straight to number 2, well, no good. Because if it comes from 1, 2, 3, I have to send it back in the same direction as 3, 2, 1. Okay? Just to help you visualize this a little bit better. Right now, my high futsal is like this, okay? My high futsal is in this position, right? Straight, okay? This force is kicking in this way to my center, okay? If I hold it like this, straight, see, he's gonna slide like this, right? He's gonna slide off. But actually, high futsal is this, see? I'm exaggerating, it doesn't even move that much. He just can feel the direction of it where all of a sudden he's sliding this way, and when he slides in, he feels the cut right away, okay? So from here, he starts pushing in. If I'm holding it straight, nothing. The force just basically kicks me back. But look at my cut. I'll exaggerate so you can see. My angle turns a little, just a little, like here. So when he pushes towards me, right away, it reflects him back. You see that? There's a cut. But this way, if I change it, I'll exaggerate my hand so you can see it. This way it comes towards me, no good. This way, the blade turns this way, so by the time he pushes, it pushes him back. That's what cut does. When that force kicks in, as soon as that force starts pushing in, because my angle, or the way I hold my shield is set about, when he pushes towards me, the same force that's coming from here, here, goes all the way back through his arms, through his elbow, through his shoulder, to his center of gravity here, down to his legs. So by the time he pushes towards me, it automatically reflects back. Okay, notice I'm not doing this. He touches me and I change my angle. Okay, in the beginning, you have to do that just to be aware of which way angles change and stuff like that. But eventually, I just hold it. Look, I'm just holding it. I hold it, I already feel it, he pushes towards me, automatically I'm sending it back. You don't see me actually changing cutting angle like that anymore. But in the beginning, you have to do that to understand exactly where the path is. You're learning the path of how to reflect it back to the source. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay? All right. Very good. Hand down, cutting edge. Okay, Joseph asked, how do you know which attack to use in a given situation, like punch, palm, chop? Okay, actually, I don't know because I have no plan. Just think, if I plan to do a punch, if I plan to do a block, if I plan to do a step back, right away, once block has occurred, I can counter that right away. Okay, my main goal is simply to go to the target. Okay, so for example, if our hands are like this, okay, I know this is not a situation where you're practicing like this, but let's say in a fight situation this is happening. You will not see me, let's say his hands are up, okay? You will not see me engage with the triangle first, and then I'm coming in, and then you see the pop punch and stuff like that. Okay, you won't ever see that. If you do that, you're misunderstanding how the art functions. Because if you do all that, even from the thought, your energy alone you don't want to give him something to counter. Okay? I mean, it's like, hey, why are you fighting? I don't want to fight. You're a good-looking guy. Ah! Then I hit him. Right? Right? And I'm like, oh, it's not your day. No, you never do that. I know it looks cooler. But seriously, main rule of self-defense is not to get hurt. Not to hurt yourself. All right?
So hit on the guy first.
Yeah.
And come in.
Hey, you good looking guy. I'll buy you, this is not bad. I'll buy you a drink. All right? All right, this is just joking. All right, so because that's very important. Once you have a preconceived thought, you can read it right away. Okay, let's say we're here, right? We're basically in this position. If I go like this, you block me out. Yeah, see how he's reacting? Yeah, I'm here, boom. No reaction. Because I don't give him anything to counter. I don't want to, but once he knows we're here like this, I go like this. You can actually see he's actually reacting and moving. He's moving and shifting like that. But I'm like, hey, passively, boom. See? That's when I want to hit him. All right? You see that? That's exactly. So that's why when I practice this motion, boom, he's practicing to learn how to block. 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 Right? By the time I practice, I won't give him anything to counter. That's why he's same drill. I give him differently. I give him no thought, no energy, or anything to function. He can't block it.
That's a freeze.
Yeah, I'm freezing him too. How am I freezing him? I'll no touch. That'll cost more. Okay. All right. Next question. So, Joseph, does that answer your question? You go with the flow. Whatever you feel like that goes back to the center, it just flows with it naturally. You don't have to be like, I'm going to do this. If once you want to do something, you're in trouble because you have a preconceived motion or set goal. I can counter that right away. Okay?
It's like language, right? Every palm punch, like 8 punches, 8 palms, they're basically your building blocks to words, right? The letters, you're getting the letters. But then when you start talking, you don't think, individual letters, putting them together into words, and then that you're basically flowing.
Yeah.
But you have to answer, you have to actually talk with purpose, right? Not just ramble.
Just not ramble. You have to have a purpose. Like for example, okay, this perfect example. You have a thought, right? I'll imitate. Let's say Robert's a girl, and I'm Danny, all right? And I'm like, oh man, this girl's so pretty. I want to talk to her. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna compliment her, and then I'm gonna say this, and then we're probably gonna laugh, and it's all gonna be so good and happy. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna say this first and say blah blah blah. You go up, and he's like, you want to be friends? All right, it never works. You gotta do it naturally. You always say that. Do not plan it out. It never works. All right, and I'm not talking about Danny Negro. I'm talking about this other guy with a Puerto Rican flag tattoo or a frog tattoo on his arm.
Danny Azul.
Danielle. This is Danielle Negro. Is what I'm talking about. All right, next one. Okay. Damn it, Kevin. Timing. Question on timing. Okay, timing is a deep subject, but let's keep this very simple first at the beginning, since this is something I've never really discussed with before. To understand timing, you have to know the beginning, execution, and end stage of a particular motion. So for example, I'm here standing. Nothing is happening right now, okay? So all of a sudden, I'm deciding I'm gonna go towards it. Right here is the beginning motion. See, I'm just starting to begin my motion to do the step. Once I begin my motion to do the step, right here, I'm at the execution phase. Like I'm in the middle phase. You have the beginning, execution, and then all of a sudden, I finish my motion, and right there, once this motion relaxes, I can switch off. That is one phase, one moment of emotion. Okay, you have to understand that first. The best way I can describe this, besides physically showing you beginning, end, and the final stage, is just think of it like in a sentence. Perfect example. Okay, this is me. This is exactly what one complete sentence is the beginning from the moment I open my mouth to the full sentence to the very end when I end it with a period or exclamation. So or semicolon. Let me get the water. Too much talking. So, okay. So, how does this work? Robert's once again the beautiful girl. It's easy because everyone can understand it. So I'm like, I don't know. Let's say my name is. Let's say it's Brian. All right, so let's just say, oh man, this is my first. It's like, you know what? We've been friends for a long time. I want to be more than friends. See that? Okay, so that's a full sentence. You know what? We've been friends for a long time. I want to be more than friends. So there, from the very beginning, when I open my mouth, to the very middle, when I'm doing the whole statement, and to the very end, when I say, be more than friends. That is a full phase and motion of doing it from a sentence. Okay, you understand that? So now then, what you have to understand then is from that motion, that is regarded as a period of time. Okay, from beginning to end is called regular motion. Everything that you have has regular motion. So when I open my mouth, you know what? I've been friends for a long time. I want to be more than friends. That's a full sentence, a full phase from beginning to end, regular motion. Okay? In physical form, too, to understand, from here, from my punch, as soon as I begin the motion, execution of motion, and end of motion. Okay? That is regular timing. Okay? Just so you understand that. I like to give different examples so for people, they have different ways of seeing or relating to it. So from here, you have the beginning, execution, end, punch. Beginning from the end of a sentence, okay, we've been friends for a long time, I want to be more than friends. That's a sentence. Opening a door, the door is closed all the way from the open. In between those two stages is regular motion. Everything that you do is based on regular motion. And to answer your question, look at that. You have to define a beginning and end every single time. Otherwise, without that, you know, when you chisel, you define motion, beginning to end, beginning to end. Otherwise, it just looks like this. And you'll never have a structure involved with it. Okay? So that is regular timing. That's very important. Create timing. Okay? Create timing. So regular timing is the beginning of end of anything I do. From the start of a sentence to the end of the sentence. Create timing. Okay. With my this girl I really like. And then all of a sudden it's totally quiet because I'm nervous to say it. And I'm like, you know, I'm about to say something, right? I just said, you know, and let's say, I don't know what name, you just say Betsy. I don't know, I've never in a long time. We'll call it Betsy. So all these are fictional names and characters. No one you would know. Okay? So right there, create timing is from nothing, something happens. So we're quiet, we're having dinner, it's like, you know, I started something. I'm gonna start that, you know, we've known each other for a long time. I think we should be more than friends. But you catch me at that, you know, right there. I created something out of total silence between the two of us. Now, awkward silence. Awkward silence. Okay, so there you have the create timing. Then all of a sudden you have break timing. Now the relationship of the timing is not only from me, from what I'm saying, it's also from what Betsy's gonna do and react to it. Okay, so if all of a sudden I say, I'm saying, you know, Betsy, we've known each other for a long time. I want to complete the sentence. We've known each other for a long time. I want to be more than friends. Well, all of a sudden, I go, do you know, Betsy, we've known each other, and he interrupts me. You know, Betsy, we've known each other.
He's a nice team.
And right there, that is break timing. So notice I had that whole thing planned. Like, oh man, I really want to ask her this question. But then just before that, she asked me for a freaking iced tea.
So that's basically Betsy putting Brian in
Brian.
defense of.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Not yet.
But it's not going to end well. All right, but I want to clarify this, and please ask questions because this is a difficult subject. I have a full thought that I want to say, but from beginning to end, that's my regular time. There's dead silence between the two of us, and all of a sudden, do you know, I started to create something. Okay, so that's another time, create. Now all of a sudden, break timing is, do you know, Betsy, there's something I wanted to, and then all of a sudden he interrupts me. That is breaking the full sentence and not allowing me to complete it. Breaking the timing.
That's his transcript.
Doesn't worry about one thing at a time. All right, and then finally, the last timing, from what I am doing from my perspective, is called double and delayed timing. Okay, double and delayed timing is two timings combined. So whether that's two creates, two breaks, or a create and break combined, those are two timings involved. So for example, I'm like, do you know, there, I had a create timing, right? I just created a timing. Betsy, we've been friends for a long time, and I wanted to interrupt me.
What time is it?
And right there, he broke me. See, so I had a create timing, and then all of a sudden I was going to do something, and then he broke my timing. That's double or delayed timing. Two timings involved. Okay? I created the timing, and all of a sudden he broke my timing. There was a break in my timing. That's what happened to me. Okay? So picture that. From my perspective, there's regular timing, beginning and end of any kind of sentence. And then all of a sudden, I create. If we're not doing anything, I say something. By the way, I think that's once you initiate the opening your mouth is the create timing. Total dead silence, no reaction whatsoever. Okay? And then all of a sudden, I start ranting off, and he breaks that motion. All of a sudden, he breaks that timing. Okay? So those are the four basic timings that you have. You have regular, you have create, you have break, and you have double or delayed timing. Okay? Now, his response to what I do is totally different, is a different timing. Okay? So, for example, if I start at the create timing, if you look at the create timing, right? It's at the very beginning of the stage of the motion. By the way, I'm just starting something, or I'm just initiating a punch. That is the create timing of an effect. So when I initiate that motion, as soon as I open my mouth, just say something. Do you know?
What's the time?
Right there. See, he interrupted me, and he took over my motion. He took over my motion. Okay? So in other words, we're here. So visualize it from an action perspective. He starts to move. Boom! I hit him. I took over his motion. Nothing's happening, right? Remember, there's two times. There's what my opponent's doing and what I'm doing. Don't mix the two together. So right here, nothing's happening. He's going to create a motion. Right there, he's creating a motion, which is the beginning stage of a technique. So he's deciding, oh, he's creating a motion. And that's basically, do you know? Okay, do you know? Boom! I'm going to crush your heart. Okay, right? Right? You understand that? He starts to create a motion, and right at the moment he creates it, when something, in other words, something has to exist. It's dead silent, he has to move, he moves, boom, I hit her. I take over that motion. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, he starts to move. Okay? And he starts executing the punch. Right? He executes the punch. Right there, I break his motion. Think of it as he's in mid-sentence. Right? Do you know, by the way, I think we should be, boom, right there. I break his motion at that point. Right? So at the beginning stage, when he executes something, I take over his motion. In the middle of the stage, that's called slip through. I break that motion. Okay? Now, so in other words, he never finishes his whole sentence. By the way, we know, I think we should be right there. I break that motion. What he's doing is that it's broken. But my part, I slip through. I'm slipped through it. I'm cutting it in half. In other words, here's the full sentence that he wants. He only gets it half done. That's slip through. Take over is he just started it, and I take over that. He just starts the motion. Boom! I take over and hit him. Slip through. He's halfway through the question. I stop him right there. Okay, and then follow through is at the very end of the motion and about to the point where he's going to get to the next question. So he's like here. He does the punch right here. He punches. He's almost finishing. Right. He finishes his motion right there. He finishes motion. That's when I follow through the motion. But notice through that entire stage, that is one point in time. Okay. In other words, just from a visual look, it is this is one point in time. What Lee was doing is this at one point in time. There's one point from when the clock moves, click, click, click. That is exactly what's happening. So from here, from this perspective, if he moves right away, boom, take over his timing. I take over his timing. All right. What did he do? He created a timing. I took over it. That's my response to his motion. All right. He does his next motion, right? Instead of taking over right away, I end up slipping through. In other words, he's halfway through executing the motion. I stop his motion, and in order for me to slip through to my next technique. So take over was the first slip through is in between the two motions. And then finally, he punches, I follow through. His motion is just about to end, and he's about to go to his next motion, boom. I follow through that motion. Follow through is the final stage where I can execute my technique before it gets to the next stage. Follow through is if he steps like this, I hit him right there. But if he steps through like this and starts initiating like this, I'm late. I have to do it on the next point. So a question, if I go like this, right? Here's the stage I follow through. And I'm already here. What stage are you going to hit me at?
If this is already started.
Yeah, I already followed through here, and now all of a sudden I'm like this.
Then that's your creating.
Yeah, but what are you doing to
Take over.
Yeah, take over. Okay, does that make sense? That's one phase, one moment in time. Completed. I'm about to do it, and then we repeat the same moment in time again. Okay, you have to understand that. There's 8 timings total, right? His timing, my relationship to that timing. He's gonna ask me. He's gonna ask me out, and I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna interrupt him. He's gonna be in the friend zone.
You can say no to this.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. All right, does that make sense? That's long subject, deep subject. But if you can understand that, that's very important. Very important, because everything flows through in application in that way. You're either gonna take over the motion, you're gonna slip through the motion, or you're gonna follow through the motion. Either at the beginning, middle, or end stage of that motion, are you going to do it? Or otherwise, you flow through the next technique of it. Okay? All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, is there a difference between applying the kick and punch? Absolutely no difference. Absolutely no difference. So as long as the line's here, right? If I punch, it's to the center line. If I kick, it's exactly to the center line too. But one thing to understand about kicks and punches in general, kicks play what? A secondary role to the hands. Secondary roles to hands. The kicks are used to assist the hands when I'm in trouble. Okay. Couple things you may not know about when dealing with kicks or punches or whatever. If my hand is touching like this, right? Sometimes you see this. Boom. I'm here, I kick and punch. Okay, you see this. A lot of times you see a demonstration. Demonstration, perfectly okay. Application, you'll never apply it that way. Because it's totally impossible to generate 2 forces from a punch and kick at the same time and get the maximum power from it. Right? I'm going like this, I'm going, ooh, no way. You can't generate power. Right? But if I have 2 hands like this, I can use this to control and generate power for the kick. That's okay. So you basically choose between the two. All right. In Wing Chun, kicks basically are referred to as invisible kicks. And I'm not sure if we spoke about this before, but basically it's invisible kicks because you are getting hit with my hands at the same time while I'm kicking you. All right. So okay, I should have practiced this scene, but from the scene from Jurassic Park, see from here, Billy, here, Billy, here, Billy. See, Billy, have a little more respect because you are alive when you are being eaten. All right, terrible. Sorry, sorry. I don't know why I saw the Jurassic Park scene, but basically that's the same idea. When we're goofing out like this, I'm hitting him right here like this. But when I'm hitting him, he's too busy from here dealing with my kick. Oh, he's too busy with my hands to even see my kick. All right. But that's exactly how you apply the kicks. But I tell you, in reality, you don't apply the kicks. It's rare. It's rare that you would apply the kicks because the hand, by the time you touch with the hand, it's over. 1, 2, that's it. Maybe if he's down already, then you can go, and then add the kick there. All right. But otherwise, really, the kick you won't use because the hands are so fat. It's over. Okay. All right, Mike, yes. Not sure if Raph is just asked this in his 10-inch question, but in the last live stream, we went into the chisel motion in the futsal. Could you go deeper into this motion, which is required? Okay. All right, so the question basically is, what's the difference between cut and chisel? Okay, when you see in double sticky hands, right, when you see this motion, these motions that you see here, it is a drilling motion. Okay, you're learning to touch and drill that motion in order to cut into that individual. But the chisel motion doesn't block as well because from the chisel motion, it already has a path for you to hit. So the chisel motion, when I'm here, I'm not going to be from here. The chisel doesn't have the same drilling effect from it. The chisel motion has more of a motion where I chisel in for a second to lead to the hit. Okay, but the drilling motion, when you drill. I drill into that motion that creates. Both techniques actually have a cut from it. Okay, whether I chisel or drill. So from this motion, he's cutting, right? But this motion, I actually have the chisel motion. See, it's more sliding motion from this in order for me to hit. So it's freer for me to hit. So at the chisel motion, I don't want to be caught more doing a block, right? From the chisel motion, it's easier for me to execute the attack. If I have this path laid out for me, I should take the shot. Okay, but in this drill edge motion box out, I can't take the shot right away. I have to use my other hand to free it to hit. But right here, since there's a cross between our two hands, I can only drill that motion in. It's not so clean for me to take the hit. Okay. Okay, tensegrity. Okay, the question here is basically regarding the tensegrity of the Wing Chun structures. The simplest way to understand tensegrity is one affects all. That means any kind of adjustment that you make, whether it's the hand, leg, or part of the body, it affects the world around us. Okay, the best example is, remember, what was that? What was the Lord of the Rings one? What was the third one? Return of the King. Return of the King. Remember that tree beard, right? Basically, he's like, oh, that doesn't affect me, right? Because I'm a tree. But then he found out that Saruman was screwing over his tree, or his group of things. Now he comes in and jumps in. What a jerk, right? But basically, the idea is we're all connected some way or another. Even though we are deep away, even if you make a slight adjustment here with this motion, your body is making an adjustment as well. You can't be frozen like this, locked in place, and just think this hand is just doing it on its own. Okay? There has to be, if I move my hand this way, if I don't make a slight adjustment, my body remains tight. So any kind of motion that you do, it looks like from here, when he's pushing me here, it doesn't look like I'm making any adjustment. But from this initial touch here, everything from here automatically adjusts. I'm not frozen in place, and my hand is the only thing dealing with it. One affects everything, okay?
They work in unison.
Yeah, it does, and that's something that's good. One affects everything, but if you don't balance it off for yourself, it still doesn't work. Good. Then that's good you brought it up. Okay, let's say we're in this position. He's here and he's guarding me like this. Look at his structure is a little off. All right, that means his triangle. He's made every adjustment possible, which is great. But look, he's like this. Look how easy he is to fall off. Right, easy for me to move him. Now I want him to basically balance yourself to the target. How do you balance yourself to the target? Still, I can see right away whether his body is balanced or not. Tell me when you're balanced.
Might be here a while.
Blame me. We waste an hour for him to figure out if he's balanced or not. This is his fault. Feel your overall body. How do you balance? I'm your target right now. Did you feel like everything's connected as one to me? It's sync, and boom. Feels off still, right?
Yeah.
Why does it feel off? The reason he feels off is he's trying to block me. Okay, his body's this way. Look at the direction of my body. Exactly this way. He's trying to block me this way. All right. So it looks like he has a triangle here. This triangle looks balanced to the target. But look, one body's part's going this way, the other part's going this way. And even if you try to have this perfectly in place, it still won't work because these two units are in sync with each other. This bottom unit, which is the base, is not in sync. So you can have this all perfect, and that's a look at the tensegrity again. You can have this all perfect, but if this doesn't make the adjustment right, it won't work. Okay? So where are we? Like this. Pretty much look at how I am. You want to balance it off. I'm your target, right? And then if you balance it, you want to balance it here, right? Like there. See that now we're here? Now feel. Now look how strong he is. Right away, you see his automatic reaction? But now look, he's same position. He adjusted, see how he shifted his legs the other way? Look. It's so weak. Without the triangle, you will have to use muscle. Without the triangle, you better hope that guy doesn't have freaking structure, because you're toast. Because fighting with technique versus someone who has structure is game over. Game over, man! Game over! What are we gonna do? I've been watching all those YouTube videos from this teacher and this teacher. All right? So basically, that is very key to have that constant balance to the target. See, when you practice all your motions, you practice the punch, playing single man technique, all these motions, every single time, the punches and stuff like that, that is so you know the balance for yourself, right? I know the balance of how to hold it for myself. Once I connect to that individual person, I must balance myself properly to the target. Otherwise, no good. That's like, here, I'm holding up for you to shoot your gun, right? I'm holding a perfect square right here. If I go like this, right here, it's not as good. If you just aim it here, you'll graze it. But if I turn this way, you have to turn this way in order for you to actually hit the target. That's you knowing the adjustment. So you start off square, bam, 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 shooting, right? Now let's say he turns. You turn also to adjust with it. Now you're adjusting. Balancing for yourself, but adjusting to be able to apply it to the target. That is very key, right? A lot of times you can have a hand position. Something as simple as this. Let's do lots of it. Look at his lock. Now I can see right away from his lock. If I go like this, he's trying to adjust it. You can't, because this one's turned too much, and then you turn here. Yeah, and then sync here. See how you were over adjusted one way to the other? Now look, see his reaction? Now he can actually go. He turned just a little, see how he turned just a little there? So weak. So weak. Your ball sounds like geisha, right? It's really weak. I can't, when you feel the power of the structure, it's just like, wow, it's ungodly how much you can do with the structure. I know everyone likes to lift weights, and there's nothing wrong, you know, you want to look good and lift weights and not be in the friend zone. But I tell you, the structure, no way you get into the friend zone. All right.
Well, so it's important that people understand conceptually, right? That, you know, when we're talking about tensegrity, or everything functioning together, it's functioning together, right? Not as one.
Yeah.
It's not rigid that this all connects and then you're one structure of that.
Yeah. It's still three structures doing their job at the same time, but they don't meld themselves into one individual unit. See, if all my structures, if my arm and my body and my knees are now become one, and he pushes towards me, I'm gonna fall. And you're like, wait, why is that? Because now it's only one unit. But if you picture this as 10 guys, all working in unison together, but yet with the same goal. Now you have the power of 30 guys as opposed to just one individual unit like that. Okay? Don't misinterpret that, because it's totally something different. All right? Okay. The point of contact for hit and kick are at different heights on the center line. Is there a difference between where you connect when you're targeting? No, not necessarily. Because basically the question is, once again with the kicks, if I draw, where's my list? This is my motivational Gandalf stick. Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna use this on camera. All right, so in other words, here's my line to the target. Okay, here's my line to the target. If I punch, same thing, right here, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing, right here, straight line punch. If I kick, same thing, straight line punch here, or straight line kick this way. See, I'm kicking straight line here. Doesn't matter, I go from an angle here. My side kick, straight line kick here. Straight line kick here. If I kick a hit, straight line here. Same thing. All right, as long as it's aimed directly to the target, you'll beat it. Do not misinterpret it. A lot of times people misinterpret center line. Remember, when we talk about where we're targeting, he doesn't have to be square for you to get the maximum amount of damage. Okay? If I start with my palm here, start from the top and go from finger ring, from here, work your way down. These are all points on the center line that you want to hit. But it's not just square here. I can move from the side, from the back, and here to target any point that I want. Okay? So just remember that. As long as I'm into the individual's mother line, straight line to the mother line, that's all I care about. Okay? All right. Did you discuss a little of the C function when you use the drill application? Okay, the C function. Okay, this is a very good question. Deep topic would be good. It depends on how deep you want to go. When you stand, okay, let's use the, okay, you stand sideways. Open up your stand just like this. You don't have to just open up naturally. Okay, right now he's vertical. And what I mean by vertical is what? What I mean by vertical is he has to have the tension from here, right? Back of his neck to here, L4, L5. That tension has to be straight. Once he has that tension, right? That tension he makes. Now, from his foot, he's got to figure out exactly where to put it. It's got to be in between the heel and the ball of the foot is where he's got to put it. Otherwise, he can have a straight line, but he can, let's say, move, lean a little bit forward. See, he has a straight line, but it's too much to the foot. And then this straight line ends up going like this. Or he has a straight line and he's leaning backwards. That's no good. He's got to figure out exactly where that is to be in the center. Okay. So what exactly happens when force kicks in? Okay. What exactly happens when force kicks in is this straight position that we have right here. Okay. Let's say this is a stance. This turns and is called C shape. It turns into C shape. You can see it compresses to apply the sensation of the stance. So let's go into detail of that. Right now, he is vertical in place. There's no force. That means he basically his tension is from here to the lower part, and then from here he balances it off in the middle. That's perfect. Now, once I touch his chest, right? When I touch his chest, the moment I touch his chest, then the domino effect of everything starts falling into play. The domino effect starts falling into play. This straight body that he has here basically curves in. Okay, and the best way, exaggerate a bit. When this force kicks in, his L4, L5 is being pushed a certain amount, right? Now all of a sudden when the force kicks in, notice his knees end up adjusting, and I'll exaggerate, it looks like this. See, like a C shape. But notice this C shape that I have here is still straight in the center of gravity. I don't do the C shape leaning forward, C shape going back. It's I'm here, I'm straight, C shape like this. Okay, I'm exaggerating it so you can see. So from here, when I push him against this way, yeah, exaggerate. He pushes it. See how his knees bend and he's almost like curving in? You got curved part. Yeah, like that. That's the C shape. Exaggerate. You don't even see it like that. But just to understand the path that it takes. Now the key thing, like I said in the very beginning, is the function of how this occurs is if I put force on his chest, right here, find your center, I push against his chest like this. See, if I push, see how he naturally springs up? Perfect, like that. See, that's perfect. If I push towards him and now he forces his bend of the knees, he's gonna fall over right away. Because, like I said in the very beginning when we started this, you have to let it happen automatically. You do that by letting the structure be exactly in place and being passive the entire time. If he's in this stance, right, he just cares about what? Hold it straight, make sure it's in between your foot, and let the force take over. The force takes over, he naturally feels it. Naturally feels it. Look, perfect. See how you let go, he reacts. You let go, reacts. Let go, reacts. He doesn't even know, right? He can close his eyes and feel it go. He automatically will respond to it. And that's the main goal. That's how you want the stance to function. But remember, that only happens if you have everything in place. If he's slightly, let's say, okay, he's tucked in, his knees are here, but let's say his head's like this. Watch. See, no reaction at all. And that touch I gave him was even lighter. Okay? So that is what you're training. Why am I doing this over and over again? So you put it perfectly in place. There's no time for you, oh, he's in me. Oh, 1 second. Not time. Okay, there's no time for that. You don't even know what's happening, right? You don't even know what's happening. By the time you hear boom, your stance is already into play. Okay? Okay, let's talk about this. So that's no different from what I said before. If he's in box out position, okay, same thing. Only when the force is engaged, right? Only when the force is engaged right here. See, I'm exaggerating. When I close my fist, there's force. Now all of a sudden he's got the C shape in there. Now, if my force lets go, right away he uncontracts, right? He doesn't even have to think this. From here, he contracts, uncontract, contracts, uncontract. You always do it that same way. If you maintain the C shape after the force is no longer there, like for example, I give him a force, he has a C shape. Okay, now keep that C shape in place. I let go of the force, look. Now he won't be able to react. Because C shape, passive, and then goes active to apply it. But then once the question's been asked, it's gone already. You don't keep maintaining the C shape like this. He pushes, C shape. He lets go, relax. C shape, relax. C shape. Holding it? No good. And then you'll find this common because in technique, when you practice something, you feel yourself, you hold the technique, right? So if I go in, I punch him right here, he blocks me, right? But look, the power's already gone. If he's still blocking me, he's gonna fall back right away. But I punch him, he blocks me. Then when I lose the power, look, he loses the power, he can't move again. But if you hold on to the power after the question's been asked, you are in trouble. Now you are the person who has gotten active at that point. Okay? Okay. Do we have 8 techniques as knees? 8 kicks, 8 fingers, 8 knees. Yes, we do. I'm not showing that to you yet. Now, I'm not saying that. I just practice the 8s I have you. The 8 blocks, the 8 punches, the 8 palms, and my 8 elbows. Practice those first. Okay, that's the key.
You do double hand also.
You can say that, but that's a different development. Okay. Okay. Why do other artists bash Wing Chun? All right. Let's talk about that. Okay. One thing I want to clarify in Wing Chun is why do you know what? Wing Chun has a lot of in-house fighting. Okay. There's a lot of in-house fighting. And in turn, besides the in-house fighting, there's a lot of fighting from other people. Wing Chun against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I get that. In the beginning, you know, due to my personality, I kind of had fun. Let's just say Johnny Cochran people from that, okay? But as my experience got better, I've kind of come to understand that people in general, if I did not give you the detailed explanation of what's happening right now, you would have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Okay, like you see the stance and they're like, why are you doing that stance? That doesn't do anything, right? And now from my perspective now, I can understand. He's like, God, that Wing Chun sucks. Yeah, it's okay. He can talk. He may not understand it. So it's okay for him to say that. I have no problem with that. But if he wants to find out if it works, then there's a different question there. No, I'm just having fun. No, but seriously, one thing I want you guys to understand in this is really take a point of being understanding. Don't get me wrong. I love watching other martial arts. Is great. I love watching Aikido. I've seen like some Aikido guys who are incredible and really actually apply Wing Chun principle and what they're doing. It's just as beautiful. I see Jiu-Jitsu guys who can do it as well. That look really good too. Even Taekwondo guys are enjoyable to watch. Muay Thai and everything like that. So every art, in the end, is trying to get to the same goal. I just decided that Wing Chun, to me, is the best way to get there. Now, is Wing Chun the best art? For me, yeah, I'd say Wing Chun, without a doubt. When it comes to self-defense, winning on the spot, to me, nothing matches Wing Chun. Because Wing Chun, in essence, universal truth of common sense. I can do it. I can do the job in one move. Okay? Now, who's to say? Some people like to do 4 or 5 steps before they get the job done. There's nothing wrong with that. They get the job done, that's still good. Okay? As far as the in-house fighting, you know what? The in-house fighting is, just think back to your days in college. Remember, there are those people who went to class, those people who didn't go to class, and there were people who came like every time there was a test, the 3 tests they have. All right, and that means some people did really well, and some people did really bad, and some people just did okay. And the in-house fighting is because, you know, I want to be known as the best one and so forth. You know, when you're really good, you don't really care. You really don't care. You want to hold your cards out to here? No problem. I think that works. We should try it. You want to do bonks out like this? Fine. Once again, perfectly okay. Right? The university here, you know, it's great that you guys are fans of the site, enjoy the Wing Chun, but you know, it's come and go. If you find something that works better for you, perfectly okay. Okay? I'm here, I feed you the meal. If you want to eat, eat. If you want to eat, that's fine. If you're in this realm, in this area, that's all I care about.
So we're not making people eat the cake?
What? Who doesn't eat cake? Why you eat cake, should eat the cake? You're just kidding. Alright? So bottom line, I just really want to clear it up with you know, something that took me a while to understand too. With the students, don't get involved in, oh God, you know, there's just debate. Time, I can't stress this enough. Time is freaking so essential. Every time that you waste If it's not helping you to get better, you're wasting your time. Seriously. Don't misinterpret taking a break and so forth, right? But bickering to tell somebody, oh, it's like me arguing with a little kid. Oh, you know what? You ever tried Kobe steak? It's really good. No, I really like this chicken nugget. It's good. Oh, okay. Go eat your chicken nugget. It's good. You eat that. That's fine. I'll just have this very lousy Kobe steak for myself. All right? There's no point in arguing at it. He doesn't have the experience to see what you can. And you have to have the understanding that he can't see that. It's totally different when once you have that feel the sight, right? It's totally different. You know, people always like, oh wow, Wing Chun is so weak, right? And he's like this, oh, Wing Chun is so weak, pop. You go, pop, pop, and all of a sudden he feels the power. It's like, oh wow, Wing Chun maybe not so weak, right? But you don't have to do that to prove it to him, all right? If he wants to believe Wing Chun is weak, if he wants to believe there's UFOs, I think there are. There are UFOs, then by all means, let him be as is. Okay? Bottom line, here's the thing. In the university, I want to create a culture that I want you as students, even as teachers, to push yourself. Okay? Now, for other people, I want to actually help them. I want to encourage him. I want him to be better at what he's doing. But at the same time, I'm not going to wait for him. Okay? So you got to understand that. And so if he doesn't understand that, my job is not to force you to understand that. My job is not to force you to accept this as is. I understand that's your choice. Okay? That's your choice. So don't get involved with the bickering and stuff like that. All right? Time to train. That is the most valuable. And when people take away my time to train, that's why I freaking get pissed. Okay, that was the most valuable thing to me. Back in the days when I would see people only once a year, don't freaking waste my time. Because I really wanted to freaking learn. If you want to go climb the mountains somewhere in Arizona, by all means climb the mountains. You want to talk about how JKD can work well integrated with Wing Chun, by all means talk about it. Don't effing waste my time when I'm here with seafood. Because God, you'll be on my shit list. Yeah, I'm still working on the detachment of it. All right, next one. All right, can you talk about Siu Lim Tao, how it teaches you Wing Chun? It seems to work differently than any other Kung Fu forms I've learned. Doesn't seem like you're fighting anyone in the form. No. Remember, everything we are doing in Siu Lim Tao, anything we're doing in Wing Chun has nothing to do with fighting. It has to do with developing the skill to fight. All right? Developing the skill to fight. Why in Siu Lim Tao am I doing these motions? Why am I doing Siu Lim Tao this motion? What is the main development of this? The main development in that first section is Tan Lu Fu. And the main development of that is the lines. The lines to hold the structures. From the inside line, from Tan, to the neutral line of Fu, to the outside line of Rusa. Now what does that in turn really develop? It allows you, when you spend time working on this, to sync the technique so it locks in. So what does that mean? Okay. So for example, he's in Bangsa, I'm in here. The moment I touch, right? The moment I touch, that motion stops, okay? It stops right then and there. But if I stop this motion right here, okay? Right here, both of us are just touching hands, right? Both of us are touching hands. Now, without the proper connection, you're developing the structure to connect my hands to the body. If I touch him like this, if I touch me right now, I know right now his structure is gonna fall. Why is it gonna fall? Because right here, his elbow doesn't sink, right here. The moment he sinks, I can already feel it in my stance right here. See, he doesn't feel it in me right now, but look, I sink my technique right here, see, he feels it right away. The best way to describe it is, if we touch, we simply touch. If I sink my structure, if I sink, I connect my whole body together. When I connect my whole body together, I automatically attack the root of the sun. Okay, it's exaggerate. Look, Look at the center. It's perfectly fine. Now, Alexander, I sink. You see that? You see how it's when I sink? You gotta sink more. Yeah, better. That's better. Good. Yeah, good. This way stronger. You feel? Yeah. See? All that is balance. So by you notice how, if you ask yourself, I do punches, right? You do punch, shoulder up. You do time. Let's say I do repot punch, I have to time. Time, shoulder up. If the shoulder is up, it does not connect to the body. You will have to use muscle. Okay? That's why every technique, when we're moving around like this, right? We're moving around, we're just moving on. Boom. I stop right here, right here. My motion's locked in. Look here. See? Now watch. He sinks. Oh, now he can react. Let's move around. Right here. My motion's locked in. Sink. Now he's here. Move again. My motion's sink. Right here. He's not locked in. See that? Wow. Here, out here. Sink. Now he's sunk.
Just a little.
No, but that's what you're developing. But in motion, nothing exists. No structure, no equalize, neutralize, no cutting edge, no sendback, no nothing. No like dynamic standing power, nothing exists. But the moment I stop is when everything comes into play. So that's why if I go like this, if I lock in and I go like this, right here, if either he fully connects or look, he's rocking a bit. This is here. And this one even right here. See? Okay, see that? This technique's right there. But a little off versus structure, it doesn't work. But technique against technique, he's gonna kill somebody.
King of the digits.
King of the digits.
Yeah, based on the king.
Sifu, isn't it somewhat useful to sometimes have indirect tactics? Are there some ways on how to aim to the center line? Nope. The only, like I said before, the only thing, we have 4 things, okay? I have 4 things. Oh, switch hands so they can see. 4 things. Asking hands is the closest thing that we have to a fake. It's basically me asking him passively to react, okay? So, for example, this is me doing asking hand from this position. This is a quick pop to a punch. Watch. It looks like this. What is this? See? See, I'm not going full pop and punch. This is basically going to the center, see, little, and then punch. So from here, pop punch. See that? Pop punch. Pop punch. Yeah, I asked him to react, and then he's supposed to react. Right? Pop punch. Ask, react, and I take over from there. Another one from here, pop punch, right? Pop. Pop punch, see? From here, pop punch. Pop punch. Pop punch. Pop punch, basically, by the moment I pop, right? By the moment I pop, he reacts, pop punch. These are all techniques, basically, usually you use asking hands if you don't have a clear line of sight. You have to do, asking hands is basically 2 motions within 1 technique. Okay, so for example, his hand's here, right? Imagine me punching 1 motion, 1 motion, 1 motion, 1 motion, right? Now look, pop punch. 2 motions within 1 beat. That's what asking hands is. Okay, and the main goal to remember is we always aim at the center line. So for example, if our hands are in this position here, notice I'm not stepping off to the side, then applying a technique, right? Or I'm not moving back and then applying a technique. Or I'm not going forward here, then coming back into apply a technique. All right, one second. Sorry about that. All right, so basically, what's my rule when it comes to applying going directly in. I go straight. Every single time I go straight. Here's my tip to you guys. If you play games, you'll get played. All right? You play games, you'll get played. My goal is to finish it. The quickest way to finish the goal is to go straight in. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. From Nedville. Is there any difference between tension between shoulder to elbow compared to elbow to hand? Is former more solid and later more fluid? Between tension between shoulder to elbow. Oh, okay. Actually, if you look at it tension-wise, tension should be all related to each other. That means if you blow up a balloon, right, any kind of balloon, whether it's long, big, circular, or whatever, the tension that exists within each compartment should be exactly the same. Otherwise, if you have, let's say he has a loose out right here. This tension that I put at the point of contact is the exact same tension that he has in knee, arm, and body. Because the balloon, all at once, has to function as one. Imagine his tension is here. Let's say his tension is lighter here, but more tension here. Look, this weak. This tension has to be even throughout. Yeah, see how I push? See, natural reaction. Remember? You are making a balloon effect. The balloon has to have the right amount of tension, but if one part of the balloon is weak and the other is strong, it's no good. Right? You notice that? If your arm tension is correct, right? Your arm tension is correct, now push against it. Arm tension is correct. Now, stiffen up your legs a little. Stiffen up his leg, look. Hand. Even though it's in place, even though his legs are in place where it should be, his center of gravity is, if his tension is greater in the legs now or in the body than it is in the hands and it's uneven, no good.
Looking at overall.
Overall. Yeah, and then I understand it is difficult in the beginning because you're like, oh, I gotta get this right, I gotta get this right. Oh wait, I forgot about this part and this part. That's why the practice is involved. You gotta learn to juggle hands. You gotta learn to juggle the body. You gotta learn to juggle the feet. And then all of a sudden you gotta juggle all three at the same time. Okay? I mean, that we're only talking from this perspective that I've taught you guys so far is from a coordination perspective. We're learning how to coordinate all this together. Just how in unison. We're not actually coordinating it to the sense where it's actually locked in yet. I haven't even talked about that because you have to have a fine sense of coordination to get this to work, right? When we're rolling like this, right? We're rolling. And this is coordination itself. Right? From here, he rolls. How come you're not rolling? You know, today in Chicago, the weather is very nice. I want to roll. It's kind of cloudy today. See, you have to have a level of coordination. How come you didn't want to roll?
Oh, I wanted to roll.
Oh, I don't know why you didn't want to roll. All right, so that's why it takes a lot of practice to get the control down. It really takes a lot of practice to get the control down. Because you can't, the control is automatic, okay? If I'm like here, in this position here, right? I'm in this position. All of a sudden, he starts to move, and I'm thinking, oh, shoot, I gotta stop him. See, I don't even think, I'm from here, automatically. He's automatically doing it. I automatically do it. If I'm trying to think it, I can't. See, he'll move it right away. Right? He'll move it right away. That motion of control, you want to use it all the time. Because then you have the structure versus the technique is really useful. I mean, when you're moving in chisel, you can move wherever you want. You move like this, go straight, right? You're moving blocking. right? He's blocking and then you're doing a technique and he's blocking and boom, right? That's all great, but in the reality of all things, when I want to move, I move. I'm going to use one. Oh man. You want to see what that looks like one day? Man, beautiful. I get it.
Who's going to replace me? Negra?
I get bigger Ryan. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. Okay, so we talked about tension in the hand. I like the explanation of the C shape. Okay. If you're working by yourself, how can you tell what and where? Okay, if you're working by yourself, how can you tell what and where you are going wrong and anything that you do? Okay, fair question. Basically, the question is, how do I self-correct? Okay, basic way to self-correct is, one, you have to have a teacher. Okay. Second thing is you have to practice. And the teacher, like, I'm not there for you guys all the time. I can only explain things and tell. If you ask me something, I can tell you, okay, it should feel like this. It should feel like this. It should look like this. And I can see in an instant, even online, even if you're all the way wherever. You know, Kirin Rise University expands the globe right now. So if you're overseas in England, or Bali, or wherever you are, the moment you scan, I can see exactly what you're doing. But the key thing is to know exactly what you're developing. If you're punching, right? You're punching. Let's take something as you doing punching. All of a sudden, you're like a minute, 2 minutes into it, and your shoulders are sore or your back is sore. Something's off. The basic rule of thumb to remember is everything in Wing Chun feels good, except mentally. That is continuous mental waterboarding that you're gonna have to endure until you let it go.
Okay. Long time up there.
Yeah, long time. Thanks, Obama. Wait, is he watching? Don't worry, I'm sure Ken will vote for you third time. All right. Anyway, feel. You gotta feel for it, because do not misinterpret working out as opposed to, like, you know, a lot of people, I know it's difficult, people like to train and there's a good soreness that comes about when you train. Like, if you do like a workout, next day you're like, oh man, I totally feel it. If you do Wing Chun right, it feels like nothing, right? That's your feedback. I was like, well, I'm holding my structure. I didn't do anything. Perfect, you got it. But that doesn't tell me anything. But that's the difficulty in it, right? Because if his structure is like this, right? If I go like this and he feels a struggle in his stance, he's a little bit, he's off right now, right? This one's here, yeah. This one's sink, two sink. Now from here, look. He doesn't have to worry about it. He already knows. But what did it feel like he was doing? Nothing. I'm holding it straight, and the hand's doing it itself. And I'm just kind of in for the ride. I mean, it's tough. That's tough to accept. That's tough to get feedback from, because yeah, I know I got my six pack from all those sit-ups. You know, you feel the stomach. From this angle, it looks thinner. But you feel, you know, when you do a workout, you feel the burden, right? You feel the overall burden. But when you do Wing Chun, you do punches right. I did punches. You're not going to get more muscle, right? You don't feel any more muscle from it. But if you feel tired from that, then you know things are off then from it. Okay?
Natural is effortless.
Yeah. If I go, hey, how's it going? Hey, want a drink? I'll get you a drink. Effortless, natural. You know, I saw you on Tinder, and God, it's great that you have your blood test available. Okay, could you give an explanation of the 5 physical principles, which, if any, are the most important? Okay, actually, when I did a lot of talking, you can talk about 5 physical principles.
5 physical principles. So structure, position,
Yeah,
posture,
yeah.
timing, distance, and what I forget.
P.
Power.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 principles all on their own. Or you have your 5 physical principles, and then you have your 7 mental, and then you have 1 overarching, right? So for a total of 13. They're all important. Okay.
Yeah. Once again, the sincerity.
Yeah.
One's not more important than the other. You can't say, I really focus on structure. Because if you really focus on structure, guess what? Everything has a counter. You focus on structure, I can beat you with something else. One of the other physicals I'll use.
So you can look at it in a lot of different ways. You can look at them in terms of just how they actually look. So for instance, you talk about posture, right, or structure. And that's just, you could say, okay, you see that in the stance, right? You're always looking for vertical. So this poor posture, right? If you're leaning back or you're hunched forward, poor posture. Okay, so you're looking for the vertical position. Position-wise could be simply where you are in relation to the center line of your opponent. Right?
Actually, position-wise in relation, that's the relationship to distance. The distance is, for me, there's 2 kinds of distance. The distance is from my own triangle, which I can take for myself, as far as putting my hand technique in place, and distance from me to my opponent. If I apply my technique here, within my triangle, but in relationship to the individual target is off. So my distance here has to be in play, my distance to the target has to be in play. My distance here is off, or like this. You apply the distance here, this distance for me is wrong, but the distance to the target is right. Okay, position is just basically the hand motion of the technique. That means if for this example right here, if I'm here, this position is time. From this position it works. He starts extending his hand further, right? If I stay in time, I'll get hit. Right? He keeps extending, I'll get hit. But from here, look, this position of time answers this question. Now it's starting to slide, look, this position of view answers the question. So I had to switch the position from one point to another in order for me to deal with it. That's why you have all these 20 hand techniques. 20 hand techniques cover every angle that you can imagine. Right? If I kept forcing the times out to try to block Robert like that, it won't block. I have to go with the force and I switch from a different technique, different tool from a time now to a bomb. Right? Or to a view, sorry, to a view. Now, all of a sudden he pushes view. Now he pushes further. If I keep doing view, no good. So from here, if I do view, now all of a sudden I do bomb and I switch over to the next one. It depends on the force. Right? So the position change from one to another. If I feel pressure at this point here, that's why I change a different position for me to actually deal with it. Okay? Timing, you already saw the application of timing.
But even timing also in relation to position is if you block, right, but then you continue to hold the position, then that means that you're not actually dealing with the force.
Actually, what we talked about in timing in the very beginning is actually the same thing. Like, if I'm here, right? If I'm here, you remember how we did 8 punches, he moves, and so forth. That's all the timing. But you're looking at start, execution, start. From here, he pushes towards me, we push. Start, execution, start. You don't even see it. I already applied the timing in there. Right? I already applied it. So, for example, right now, if we're looking at this particular position, he has more power than I have, and he's controlling me, right? Right? I'm actually stuck to him, but you won't even see it. As soon as I create it, all right, I can create it. He has the power over me right now. Right here, I control him. Center of gravity is back. Yeah, I just took it over. The timing, this timing that you see here, this is. It's the same timing here. You don't even see it. He moves, I already took it over right there from that point. Exact same thing, but in a faster way. Okay? And we have timing, we have distance, we have the structure, the power, and then we also have the position. Power, let's just talk a little bit of power. Remember, when it comes to power, only at the very end do we actually apply the power. Basically referred to as inch power, because the last inch is when I actually execute the power. If I try to execute it beforehand, we can be countered easier. Because a lot of times in Wing Chun, when we apply a technique, we apply any kind of motion in there. That motion is passive the entire time. If I put too much active in that motion, it can be countered at that point. So for example, if I'm here, right? I'm here at this point. I put power right here. Look how far I am. I'm going to try to execute this power when they're about 10 inches away. And then if there's power here, he can right away, he can basically block me, right? So from here, I go put the power in, ready, he blocked me. But look here, right here, from here, right here, I don't put the power in. Only at the end, I put the power. See, I put like this, you see how he reacts right away? He reacts. Right here, I don't put the power. See, no power. See, no power at all. Only at the last second. That's why Wing Chun doesn't gamble. Because when I shoot that attack, 99.9% chance I'm going to connect and hit. Okay? I'm not going to go up to the girl in the bar like Daniel Segron.
Danny Black.
And then be like 50-50. Maybe I'll get lucky and he's just say yes. Okay? No. Wing Chun, remember, the philosophy of Wing Chun. If I have the ball, most people, they throw the ball, they don't have the control anymore. Okay, Wing Chun, I have control of the ball even after I throw. So even in this position from here, I punch. If I have no body support, I punch like this, and then he blocks the top. Oh yeah, my hand flies out right away. Because I have no, it's not connecting my body. But here, when I shoot out the punch here, look, he starts to block it, but I can adjust my body because I still have control of it. That's the beauty of it. The total control of the technique every single time. Usually I can make two to three at best. By three, you should hit already. 2 to 3 adjustments to the center line before he can counter me out, right? And by that time, I should be able to hit. Okay? Let's see. Okay, can you talk more about the grace period of the techniques? Do you have that in all techniques? Yes. You have a grace period in everything that you do. Okay? And the key is basically to reduce, you get the training by reducing the amount of grace period that's involved. So for example, this is a perfect example. He makes a fist here. Here's my stance, okay? My center of gravity is in play at this particular stage. When he pushes in, right? All of a sudden, my force should reflect back to it right away. But let's say all of a sudden he pushes me, my grace period catches it right here. My center of gravity is now at the maximum level, at the back of the heel. If I try to fight it, I'll fall back, right? But within that grace period, all of a sudden he pushes me, I recognize at that state, I'm close to the limitation of my stance, and I adjust my stance to support. You're within your grace period, you can apply the technique. That means, Mr. Wayne, everyone should know their limitation. Because even if my skill is greater than Robert's, right? But he knows he can only hold 1 pound of pressure. If he always adjusts to the 1 pound of pressure, he can adjust to me every single time. But if he tries to fight it and says, I think today I do 2 pounds of pressure. He goes beyond his limitation. Now I can easily counter. Okay, so I'm here like this, right? I know right here, what amount of power I can handle. Right? But if I go like this and I push more and he still tries to fight, look, he's already leaning back. All right, but if he knows, at what point does he know there's limitation of his power? If I push like this, when does he make the adjustment? Right? When does he make the adjustment to deal with that force? Hold the box. Show up the stance. If I'm like here, he feels it. When do you feel it at the back of the heel? So at this point, when do you have to take that step? This, right there, he takes a step, now he's exactly in the same spot. Notice his structure did not change. Okay? If my box is here at this position, right? He pushes towards me and my structure goes like this, already I collapse in. No good. But if I'm here, he pushes toward me, oh, I feel the limitation, but I'm exactly in the same spot. I'm okay. The distance from me to him has not changed. We're exactly in the same spot. I knew my limitation, that's my grace period. Okay? And in time, the better your grace period, right? My grace period is here. I feel it like this, he steps in, yeah, I have to adjust from that. My grace period is good. Let's say my grace period is better. The time he pushes in, I'm ready to take over. That is grace period. See, I didn't even have to step back. He has to step back from that to adjust out that center. Okay? That is basically what you're working on every single time. Bottom line, like I said to you guys and girls, everyone there, your center of gravity is the battle. Okay? All this fancy hand stuff moving like that, don't care. You can have the quickest hand motion, and let's say you tap me. You tap me, you don't have center of gravity behind it. Mine does. I'll make sure that connects. Okay? Next one. Oh, this is a good question. Raph asked a question regarding sitting chisel and standing chisel. Usually when you do sitting chisel, there's two reasons for sitting. You do sitting chisel if you're injured. Like you're supposed to be sitting like this. Let's get you. I'm sitting like this. So, if you're sitting in the chair like this, if you're sitting chisel, this is injury your leg, you can do chisel like this as well. But notice the thing about chisel, I want you to see if there's a difference in your role. Why is his stance better? Because his vertical is really good at this point. It makes a big difference. Because when you sit, right, you're at the edge of the chair. You feel that pushback right, that vertical in place. But usually people are like, oh, it's flimsy, it's moving in and out. Whereas if it's vertical in place, it's so solid. And the blocking, you don't even think, you're just blocking right away. All right? So if you're injured, usually you see sitting, you see two people sitting. Like Master Hoa, when he was older, he had to sit. He's really old. Right? But at the same time, this is what you're developing when you're sitting too. The L4, L5, see how it's pushed out like this? It's pushed out like this, so basically you maintain your vertical. Okay? That's a good question. Now we do dirty dancing. Alright. How much time do we have? Oh man, we got 4 minutes. Oh, jeez. I'm talking so long. Okay, close to last question. Why do people feel safe with a passive structure coming towards them in a threatening situation? Okay, why do I feel safe? Why do we apply everything in a passive structure? Because in a passive structure, we can counter everything. Now, don't misinterpret passive. Passive means passive, but there's active within my passive in order for me to deal with that force. Okay, so for example, our hands are like this, okay? When I move in toward, if I all of a sudden commit to this motion like this, right? As soon as I commit to this motion, I'm stuck in that motion. It's almost like you committing to take a step. Now you're stuck in that motion. But if I follow you and commit to, let's say Robert takes a step, one way, take a step. I go like this, I committed to that motion. Then if I committed to that motion, easy for him to go, then you move. I move this way, easy for him to move to the next one, right? But let's say he goes to this motion. He steps this way. I'm passive. He's still exactly in the same spot. I can counter him easily that way. It's not that I'm not moving in. I know how to move in passively to make him talk first. Okay? I know how to make him talk first, right? Even if we're here in this position here, right? If I go like this, boom, I'm active at that point. I'm active at that point, and he blocks. He blocks easy for him to block. And you see me, I'm going active at that point. From here, I'm passive. You see, I'm passive at the point, right? But if I go active like this, right away, he blocks me. Easy for him to block, right? But I don't want him to counter me. right? So my hand, I just go passively. See, I passively. Hard for him to move because I'm freezing him too. Right? Those the other motion like this, easy for him to block me. Right? Easy, easy. Actually, good block, perfect block, right at the center of everything. But when I want to apply the motion, boom, boom. Then I freeze him on the spot. Hard for him to move. Even if he tries to apply, he can't apply it. All right. Let's end it at that. I hope you guys, girls, everyone enjoyed our live stream. We'll be doing more of this in the future. I definitely went over a ton of stuff, and I think you'll be able to watch this again once I hit stop broadcast, and we'll upload in maybe a couple hours or something like that. Okay? Thanks again to Robert for taking his time to join us. And really, once again, appreciate everyone joining Kirin Rise University. Spread the word. We definitely want to find more people just like you who really want to learn the art. Okay. Thank you, guys.